Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions 4 p.m. BST Thursday afternoon, last show of the week from me. Today we're going to go in depth. I bring in Mike Zagare. How you doing, Mike? You all good?
Hey, Danny. Yeah, I'm doing good. Excited to be here. I want to go in depth and can't wait to share.
Cool. While I just share to the groups, do you want to just let people know what you've been up to, and then we'll get straight into it?
Yeah, sure. So I've been focused on PPC Entourage and the margins tool, and that's been going really well. Also, our agency is doing really well as well. And very excited to have the 12 Days of Nuggets 2020 coming, which I know we'll talk a little bit more at the end, but it's a charity that is really near and dear to my heart that I'm looking to really get out to the masses this year and get a lot of people involved. So we're ramping that up and just always creating and always got ideas and always some new things.
Excellent. Cool. Right. Let's go back, and I would say way back, but you're quite a young lad in comparison to me. Let's take it back to the younger years. When was the first experiences that you felt in terms of entrepreneurship, or where you felt like you got the bug, to start selling products, or, just when you're at school? Was there anything that you did there to kind of hustle your way forward?
Yeah, Danny. So in preparation for this, I really started to think about my childhood and where I started to first sell things. And I really didn't start to sell things until I was about 17 years old. So, I had a really normal childhood. I was really good at like sports and arts and creative stuff. And it seemed like early on in my life, when I took something on, I naturally excelled at it. And then it wasn't until around 14 years old that, there was an event that happened. My father left the family, and it seemed like it had a really profound impact on my confidence. So I tended to really at that point, I was quiet. I was really totally quiet and just to myself, and my confidence went away. I remember I was really good at baseball early on. I couldn't even catch a baseball from a pitcher thrown over to first base. So totally no confidence whatsoever. But for some reason, in that state, I started to get more into entrepreneurship. I started to work on myself and work on just how to sell online. I got my first experience in selling online in 1999. I was a baby. I was 16, maybe 17 years old. And I got in with a bit of a bad crowd. And I had this next door neighbor. He's a great guy, but he had a gambling addiction. And kind of got me into a bit of a gambling addiction myself. And what we would do is we would wake up on Saturday mornings and go to Ticketmaster, and we would purchase all of these different tickets, and then we would scalp them on eBay. So I sold my first ticket on eBay, and I was like, damn, this is the way to go. I just made money online. I'm 17 years old. The option to that was working at Nathan's selling hot dogs, which I lasted about 5 hours doing that. So this was way better alternative.
Wow. Can you tell us the story? You done 5 hours and you just thought, fuck it, I'm not having it. And so scalping tickets was the way forward.
Yeah, dude, I lasted 5 hours. They offered me $7.50 an hour, which was an overnight shift. So many stories from that. They gave me an old shirt to wear with dandruff on it somebody else had used. It was just I was like, I just do not want to deal with this. Let me figure out another way to survive at this age. So scalping tickets became the way to go. And he was actually, we could call him the degenerate next door, but we're next door neighbors. We were friends still. We just don't hang out now as much. But he became my first employee because he would wake up at Saturday in the morning, and he actually had access to my credit card, and he would buy all of these tickets. They had Rod Stewart tickets and all these different tickets and then we would scalp them. And not every ticket we did well with, but some we did really well with. And then I remember doing something really, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have some darker stories, but I remember scalping tickets for backstage access to the WrestleMania. And it wasn't really backstage access. So we were selling that and just doing all sorts of things to make money at that age. So I would say that was the first experience.
I mean, yeah, the thing is with ticketing, I never done scalping, but I worked with secondary market ticket companies and primary. So we had a platform that give people a safe passage to, and so it was all backed by the government, because it's a big thing in the UK. You called it scalping. We called them ticket touts here in the UK. Right. But literally some of these companies, if you shook their hands, you'd have to count your fingers after. They were scumbags. And so it was quite funny because you get all the like the key players in the music industry and the events world go, we hate secondary market ticket because you've got primary and secondary. We hate secondary market ticketing, and then doing cash deals at the back door, selling these tickets to the scalps at marked up prices, because that's what it was about, really. So the primary and the secondary market, something can go on, say £99, and they'll sell it to 1,500, and then they'll go up and down like the stock exchange, and then the tickets get marked back. So I knew a lot of people in that industry. I mean, there was a big court case a few years ago where a company they were behind about £10 million worth of those tickets. Now that market's cleaned up, but it does attract some of the weird and wonderful people into that market. So where they say where there's money, there's muck. So as a 16-year-old kid, going into that market can be a bit tasty, you know, in terms of the trouble you could get into and being around the kind of wrong people. So I'm going to take it. We're going to get into that part of the story that, you know, you scalp the tickets. Your next door neighbor, who you called by your own admission, the degenerate, right?
We called each other that at the time.
Yeah. Oh, you called each other that?
Yeah, I can get it.
Oh, okay, cool. Right. I did. I just wondered, well, here's your credit card. I'm thinking, I think I know where this story's going, but come blow it up for me. Where did we go with this guy?
Right. So we got into some bad habits. We were gambling. I remember as a 16, 17-year-old kid, I was doing that, selling tickets. And then we would go to OTB, and I got a taste for gambling. And really, Danny, what I realized was, you know, at the age of 14, when my father left, and I was going through a lot of chaos in the house, my sister was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which essentially means she was, she did things like she tried to kill herself several different times. She had a whole, like, drugs, all sorts of things. She's much better now, thank God. Not everyone gets out of the situation she was in.
It's a difficult. It's a personality disorder, isn't it? But it's very difficult to get through. It takes a lot of work to do that. I think it's good that your sister's been able to get through that, because I think in most cases it takes 2 or 3 years, and it's normally done in a group therapy session, because it's tough on the therapist for someone with borderline to handle that one-on-one. And because they get frustrated and stuff. So, but there are different types. You've got quiet borderlines and stuff like that. So I'm glad that your sister made her way through.
Yeah, she had a lot of rage, and it caused a lot of tension and just a lot of tension in the family. And there was like literally no peace. And then I would use gambling. And I think, you know, the gambling was an important part of my career or history, because it led to me knowing that I like to take risks. But I had to learn how to take calculated risks that wasn't going to bring me down. And that took a lot of personal development and work. So all of the pain from my father leaving, and then my sister really reacting to that, and just feeling alone in a house that was absolutely insane, was in retrospect an actual blessing, because it led to my first Gamblers Anonymous meeting when I was 22. And that's when I really got in touch with my spiritual side. And then from 22 to I'm now 37, I've been really working on myself ever since. And it hasn't been always perfect, but it's been a steady improvement of always working to be the best version of who I am.
So after the process of the ticket, you know, you come from a broken home, you've gone off with Mr. Degenerate, or you're both degenerates for next door. Where did you go after the ticket, and where did we go with the cards? Because he had your card number next door, tell me, did he run off with the money or anything like that? Or was it a good relationship? But why did you get out of the ticketing, the touting?
So the reason I gave him my card is because I went to my family's house for a day, and there was I remember Jessica Simpson tickets were on sale, and I don't know, Miley Cyrus, I don't know what the hell, crazy tickets were on sale. He took my card and he bought like so many bogus tickets. I barely broke even on that sale. So he really only had my card for maybe 2 Saturdays when these tickets went on sale. But it was an interesting experience, because I was handing him over my personal credit card and trusting him to do work, you know, maybe it wasn't the best idea. But I still had that entrepreneurial mindset back then. Okay, I can get someone else to do work for me while I'm like doing what I want to do, which at that time was with my family, like by the pool that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did we go after the ticketing? Did you get a real job, or did you carry on? What was the next place you went to?
Yeah, so I continued doing that for a summer or two, and then I actually became I went to physical therapy school. And you know, at 18 years old, I felt like I had to choose something, and I chose something that really, in retrospect, I think it was something to make my parents proud, because I really I had no idea at that age. I had no clue. So I went there, I was like, okay, I got to pick something. My father had an issue with his shoulder. I went to one of his therapy sessions. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can walk around and help people out. I could use my brain, my body, and help do it. So I went through physical therapy school. And Danny, when I was in physical therapy school, the first question they did, first thing they did in our first ever lecture was they went around the room and they asked you, why do you want to be in physical therapy? And what is your passion? And who do you want? Like, what's your passion? Why do you want to be here? I never felt more like a fraud in my entire life because I did not want to be there. It was just something that I chose to do. And I remember sitting there waiting for my turn, and my heart was just like pounding out of my chest. And I just felt so different from everyone else because everyone else did want to be there. Only 30 people out of the entire 30 out of like hundreds of people got into the actual program. So you had to work hard to get into it. And now I'm here and I'm like, shit, I don't want to be here. So throughout that whole process, you know, I took my exams, I did fairly well, but I knew like I didn't want to be there because my hair was falling out, totally stressed out. Just didn't like the 9-to-5 whole thing. So I kind of got a taste for the fact that I'm like psychologically unemployable back then, and that physical therapy was not for me. But I went through the entire process, graduated, and then I had my first job as a physical therapist. I did traveling physical therapy at first, and then I decided to start my own business in physical therapy.
Excellent. And so where do we go from there? Was it you started your own business? Was it, you know, by your own admission successful? Did you want more out of it? Give us some of the highs and lows of that.
Yeah, it was like what I was doing was I was seeing seniors and in their home, and somebody hired me to make some money on the side. And I was making, I remember, like $60 for every patient that I saw. And I'm like, you know what, if he's hiring me, why can't I hire other people? And I was working about 30, 40 hours. So I started to just find my own patients and then acquired a Medicare number and then did it myself. And then eventually I had my first physical therapy assistant go into someone's home. And that was like the first time I got the sensation of, wow, I just made some money, actually made some profit working and building a team and building something out. And I remember just like not looking back after that. It was a bit of a process from, you know, building up her schedule and then finding new patients and then finding new managers or physical therapists rather. And I was doing everything myself, but I knew that like that was a better road for me than to work the 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did that road end there? Because obviously we'll get into the guts of your story. So you've done the ticket touting, you've done the physical therapy. What was next after that? Is that where you went straight into Amazon?
Yeah. So the physical therapy was pretty good, but I was spinning my wheels. You know, around 2013, I started working part-time at a physical therapy clinic and then doing part-time with this business. And I had so many things going on. I was answering phone calls. I was hiring. I was trying to find clients. I was doing all the advertising and managing. I was doing a lot of the billing. It was just like a total circus. And my life was like pretty wild at the time. So I was just doing all this like, you know, just craziness. And then actually I got fired from my last job because my mind was totally focused on the actual business. Yeah. And it was the best thing that could have happened because the person that fired me, her name is Janet. I just had a call with her 2 days ago. We became very close friends. Her office actually then agreed to manage my home care agency. So rather than just saying, okay, well, you know, we're going to part ways, I said, hey, would you mind or would you guys consider managing our company? Which then gave me the freedom I was seeking to get away from all of the things that was just bogging me down. And that was a huge leap because then I was able to build systems and I was able to train people and I was able to take a step away and do the things that I really found that I had a lot of passion for, which was marketing and advertising and building systems and all that kind of stuff. So that was less stressful, but I can't ever say that it was very successful. You know, we always broke even at the end of the day. And I was able to eventually sell that company for a decent profit and get it off my hands. And that worked out really well. But it was a bit of a journey. And really, I had another breakthrough when I met my coach. My coach, his name is Jeffrey Combs. He still coaches. He's an excellent coach. He's a no BS coach. This guy shifted my mindset so much. I went to one of his events because a physical therapist that I knew from school invited me to become part of her networking group. I didn't even know like what, you know, the whole like network marketing thing. I didn't even know she was trying to do that at the time. I just showed up. he just laid down all of this knowledge for like a full day. Now, Danny, when I went to this event, my car was an absolute mess. I had coffee cups, wrappers, all sorts of things, chaos, chaos, chaos. I was listening to Howard Stern like nonstop, like really wasn't feeding my mind with anything healthy at all. I mean, I still find him entertaining, but it was like that was all that I was listening to. And I went to this event, and the first thing he said was, "How many of you make your bed in the morning?" And I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't make my bed in the morning, and my bed's a mess. My car's a mess. You know, things are chaotic and crazy. And then at that point forward, it was like a switch went off, and I started consuming all of this information. Tons of books, personal development books, marketing books, advertising books, all of these things. I tried every freaking thing in the book to get like to where I wanted to be. You know, I'm talking about like meditations and subconscious work and all sorts of things that I would do, books, all sorts of things. And it really helped out. And one of the benefits that I had was I was a traveling physical therapist, so I could listen to books all day long and then, you know, see patients and then continue from there.
Cool. And so where do we go from there after the physical therapy? What was the next one on the list?
Yeah, so physical therapy, you know, what happened was my last session with my coach, I ended up hiring that guy, Jeffrey Combs, and it helped out a little bit, but he basically told me at the end, he goes, Mike, you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of juice, but you're spinning your wheels, you're spinning your plates. And I'm like, okay, well, where do you see anything, like see any ideas where you think I might be good, where I might excel? And he goes, I see you in importing and exporting. I'm like, what the frick does that mean? Importing and exporting? I'm a trained physical therapist treating seniors in their homes. So we ended our 12 sessions, which was like incredibly expensive, and I had no money left in the bank. And the weekend went on. Monday morning.
Sorry for the pun though. Literally left you no money over for inventory. So you should do import and export. Yeah.
It was literally $500. It was $500 a session. He's cheaper now.
And what's changed now? There's a lot of courses out there that will put you could do the course, but there's no money left for inventory. Not all, but there is a lot of them. But yeah, yeah,
that's true. Yeah. So then at 6 in the morning that next day, 2 days later after he told me that importing exporting, 6 in the morning, it was pouring rain outside. And it was raining so hard that I couldn't go to the gym. It was like, this sounds like an excuse, but it was literally pouring buckets. So I laid on the couch and I went on my phone and I scrolled through Facebook. And believe it or not, I was doing that back in 2015. I scrolled. I saw an advertisement from Roger Langell. Do you know who that is? So Roger does, like, back in the day, he was doing like drop shipping courses and retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. And I just saw this video and it resonated with me. And I was like, oh man, this might be a good opportunity. And it was all about drop shipping. So I signed up for the course. This was 2015. I realized quickly that drop shipping was like just more, not really where I wanted to be. I wanted the time freedom. I wanted the creative freedom, money freedom. And then I went to retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. And at the same time, Danny, I was trying to build my personal brand. I was also back to dabbling in a little bit with gambling in my sense, in the way because I was doing a little bit with options trading, and that started to feel like gambling as well. So I realized quickly that retail arbitrage was not good, online arbitrage was not good. It wasn't for me. And then I found a product that I wanted to private label. I ordered a sample. Weeks later, it comes in. However, the story of when it came in is kind of interesting because I remember like really having trouble with this, with doing the, what do they call that? I was like kind of down about everything going on, not quite sure where I wanted to go. So I literally asked God, I said, hey, like I need some direction here. What could be a good direction for me? As I was saying that, the doorbell rang and it was my first sample of my first product for Amazon.
Right.
And it was just a beautiful thing. And I kind of took that as a sign and I went with it. That product ended up doing millions on Amazon. And then that led to other products and a whole product line. And, the rest is history. Now, not all good history because we have made a ton of mistakes and I'd like to get into all of that as well. But the point is, at that point, I knew that this is where I wanted to go. And it just felt so much better.
So let's go into some of those mistakes so other people could learn.
Right. Okay, cool. So first off, first couple of years, we did really well. We skyrocketed to 4.5 million a year in sales just in the US. So we were doing sales in the UK and Canada and also in Germany. And things were going really well. We were slowly building our brand strictly on Amazon. Where we started to get into trouble was when in 2016, the reason why we did so well was because of advertising. I really learned the ins and outs of Amazon advertising, which, by the way, at the time wasn't incredibly challenging. It was super basic.
Oh, Fisher Price back in the day, yeah.
It was Fisher Price. So I'm like, you know what? This is easy. And then there weren't any tools back then either. There was like, and I am not a spreadsheet guy, and I didn't want to learn or pretend to be a spreadsheet guy. So I had the pet supply company, and then I decided to form PPC Entourage because of the need for a tool to make all that stuff automated. And then I used the systems to build out blueprints, and I taught people what I did and all kinds of things like that. And I think that's how I met you, Danny. However,
I met you. You came to the UK. Me and you were on a panel in London. We were at Amazon's HQ, weren't we? We was at a local event, Scale for Etel. Yes. You and I were there, and that's the first time we met. I think that was 2017.
Yes, it was 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in retrospect, dividing my attention between the e-commerce business and PPC Entourage was a bit of a challenge because the e-commerce brand was doing really well, but then the PPC Entourage took up so much of my energy. It was like really insane. We signed up hundreds of people overnight because we were like one of the first tools out there. And I had absolutely, Danny, no idea what I was doing. No freaking clue. I mean, I'm a physical therapist who got into software. We hired the wrong guy, and the guy kind of stiffed us. And it was like we were signing people up, but they were bugs. I remember being on vacation, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, trying to answer customer service tickets with my girlfriend at the time, absolutely irate. And it was just like, it was crazy. So I came back with welts all over. But the point is, like, I really didn't know what I was doing at the time. And I think dividing my attention wasn't good for the e-commerce brand because I really am passionate about PPC Entourage. So simultaneously, we built both companies up, but slowly the focus started to shift towards PPC Entourage. And then we also tried to scale the e-commerce brand way too fast. And by scaling, I mean diversifying our product lines, way too many products that were unproven and untested, going into Walmart. I got stories like you wouldn't believe.
Let's do it. Let's talk Walmart.
So this is early Walmart. This is Walmart when you had to hire someone at $50 an hour just to like get you onto Walmart and manage all the spreadsheets and everything else. We made one critical mistake, and then I think we lowered our price down to like $6 a unit. So like several thousand units were sold within. I thought I was like, great, man, we're on Walmart. We're making a ton of sales. This is freaking awesome. But it was at like $6 or $7 a unit. So like just little things like that that were just energy sucks and drains. And really the focus for us at the whole time should have been on Amazon USA because we were absolutely crushing it and we were dominating that niche. But Walmart wasn't good for us. And then I went heavily into Shopify. And I built out a really good Shopify store. I was part of Ezra Firestone's mastermind, and I made a website that modeled after his, and I just learned a ton with all of that stuff too. But the intentions were really good, but honestly, the entire time, it was dividing my energy, which should have just been on Amazon USA. So that was a bit of a drain in terms of energy. And then also going into the UK, I think we did that prematurely. That was
so. Would you say is because you diversified too far, like you were spreading your energies too thin? So, if I understand this, to summarize, you've got the Amazon business, you got into PPC Entourage, you never had a clue what you're doing, but you've been entrepreneurial. You're curious, so you're going to find out anyway, and somehow you'll make it work. You took time off of the Amazon business, then you went to go too wide with the Amazon business by releasing too many products. Then you thought going on to Walmart would be a good idea. You had some headaches there. You went on as the Firestone course, then went into to build out a Shopify store. So basically your energies are going all over the shop. But that just sounds like a standard day in the life of an entrepreneur, but it's getting control of that shit, isn't it?
It is. It's part of the thing, is just getting control of all that stuff. And then you couple that, Danny, with a couple of I would call it hatchet jobs to our business. Like when Amazon made a mistake with our FBA fees, it was like $40,000 here. And then I made a critical mistake of, you hear this all the time. You remember when Amazon, you know this, when Amazon sends you an email and says, hey, use our spreadsheet for PPC because we want to scale your PPC. Well, I fell for that trap in 2017. That was a $50,000 hack job, right there. So there's these little paper cuts or hatchet cuts, if you want to call it.
Yeah. Or death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah.
Death by 1,000 hatchet.
Yeah.
So before you know it, we were in cash flow issues. Now, that wasn't like totally a bad thing, because what came from that was the margins tool, which I think is our most innovative tool. Essentially, we had FBA fee issues, and I wanted to solve that problem. But then I really wanted to know how much money we had at the end of the day. So that's how the margins tool was born. Basically, everything was born out of frustration. PPC Entourage was born out of not knowing spreadsheets, and then margins tool was born out of not knowing my numbers. So I sort of chalk it up to like life lessons, but we could have sold at a better time. We ended up not selling. I still have the business. So I would love to tell you guys that I have this great exit story, but I don't. And the business is still there. We plan on exiting one day, hopefully for a profit. But at this point, my focus and energy is not there. It's more with helping brand owners and sellers on PPC Entourage.
Yeah. So what is happening currently with the Amazon business? Is it just churning along based on the products it's got until they reach the end of their cycle, or are you planning to dig in again next year and give it another push?
Yeah. So currently we got rid of all of the products that were just dead weight. I think that was the most important thing. And we identified that, several products just weren't worth our energy or time. We found all new suppliers for our products, and then we are diversifying a little bit with our product line, just testing out the waters with several new products. Our old products are selling really well still and have an absolute ton of reviews. So those are doing really well. But we plan on slowly just introducing products in the USA account only for now, and then going from there.
Cool. What's been your darkest hour just before dawn?
Ooh, darkest hour. Danny, I have to say, my darkest hour probably was a breakup that I had about a year and a half ago. The last time I saw you was like, I think, 2019?
We were in Vegas, yeah.
In Vegas, in SellerCon. We had a great conversation. About an hour and a half before that, I was in my room pretty much bawling and crying from this breakup that happened about 3 months before that. I mean, it was like a harsh thing for me. I really thought she was like the one. And then, like, man, one thing after another, it was a really hard time. So I think I'm still recovering from that a little bit and learning from that experience. But that has led to, a lot of other personal development coaches and podcasts that I'm listening to as well. And I think also some of the pain from that led to the creation of Days of Nuggets. Because it was like a lot of pain that I was going through, and I've never felt more joy than working on the Days of Nuggets campaign. And
but it has meaning, doesn't it?
It wasn't. I didn't care. Like it was so meaningful. It was passionate. It was like every day, wake up, no sleep. We did the whole thing in like 9 or 10 days. We brought it from like idea to.
I think you're charging around on coffee. We were having a chat. I didn't know if you'd had some smart drugs or something, but you were just like bug-eyed running around and a big jug of coffee in your hand when I last saw you, like at Christmas last year. We were on a Zoom, and I'm like, fuck me, this guy's on a mission. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was totally mission-based. And no, I wasn't on. I mean, I've dabbled with psychedelics before in my past, but never with anything like uppers or anything like that. So that was just coffee and pure passion and just like ready to rock and make a difference. And it never felt so right. Out of anything I've ever done in my entire life, business-wise, that felt the best. Helping out people that way. So I'm excited about it this year, and I think that was a passion project that also was born out of the pain I was in at the time, which was an issue.
You can say no because everyone has boundaries, but what I mean, you was in a lot of pain. She was the love of your life. What do you think went wrong there, if you can say that? I mean, everyone has to be accountable because it's what's the word? It's your dance partner. It's a two-way street, isn't it? Right. But obviously, that hit you hard. And what was some of the learnings you had from that?
Yeah, so I actually met her at Ryan Daniel Moran's event. I was speaking at his event, and it was like a really big deal for me to be on stage in front of 500 people, and it went really well. And it was just like one of those things where I dropped the pen, which I was crazy. I turned around and and this guy picked up a pen for me, and we struck a conversation, and there she was. And we ended up basically falling in love and having this incredible romance. And she was very much similar to me in the sense that we're both spiritual. We both are love to learn and grow. She had her own business. I was like, man, this is like my ideal person. And not only that, she was drop dead gorgeous. I mean, like one of the hottest girls I've ever seen in my entire life. So like we really, the thing though was she lived in Arizona and I lived over here. So I think the real challenge was the long distance relationship, and also the real challenge was we still had a lot of our own shit to deal with. And I think a lot of that came out in the relationship. We really knew how to get that out of each other in a way that we basically triggered. It was blissful and the most amazing relationship I've ever been a part of. Everything was awesome. And also it was the most chaotic time. And we were triggering each other like crazy to the point where it just wasn't a relationship that we felt good enough to be in at that point.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a tough one. Would you say it's more like a codependency? Because you're using words like trigger and stuff. Is that two people can come together, can't they, and be, very close, but it doesn't always going to work, and it'll bring out different sides to each of the character. And it's weird. Our friendships, relationships can actually work out. What do you think will happen now for you? From that experience, what have you taken from that as a human being, and where will you go in future with it?
Yeah, so I realized that I still have a lot of work to do on myself from some of the challenges that I had early on. So I've been really, working on myself, meditating and learning and growing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really excited to date again and get out there and meet a great person. A little challenging now with COVID. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Now you have to socially distance with masks. How romantic is that?
Yeah.
And I really love to meet like friends. I'm sure you do too, like friends and girls at these events, because it's someone that you have some connection with because you're entrepreneurs. And those events are not going on right now. So, I'm just going to stay positive, keep the faith, and know that person is out there for me. And in the meantime, just keep on creating some really good stuff, because that's what I'm good at. I have a creative mind.
Cool. I just want to go to the comments quickly. Egler says, high five for serial entrepreneurs, as I consider them to be the ones who have mastered stress and time and management to its finest. Sounds like a wild ride, but look, lots of great experience. If you didn't go through all of that, Mike, you wouldn't be the man you are today. Izza's here. She says, everything happens the way it should. Your path has brought you to where you are now. Your energy and drive is contagious, Mike. Love your story. So I suppose really it's like we've kind of gone through your story quite quickly there. Because the career paths that you took, there was only a handful, although they were packed in. So let's talk about the future. Where do you want to go with things now? Where do you see yourself? Put COVID aside, because if someone said in 2015, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? No one would have said in the middle of COVID, right? So bar COVID, where do you see yourself going over the next 2 to 3 years? What are the plans?
Yeah, so I really want to build out the margins tool. That's my passion right there, is having a tool that connects all different marketplaces, all different seller central accounts, and gives sellers the clarity that they have or that they need to make really smart business decisions, so that what happened with my business does not happen to them. So it's a combination of the margins tool, but also training sellers on smart business decisions. One of the best things that I get to do every single day, or not every day, but at least a couple times a week, is get on calls with sellers to review their tool and also review where their business is at, to look for areas where they could be making those mistakes. So I can see myself going further down that path. Of course, Amazon advertising is constantly shifting and changing. There's so much to learn, especially this year. So continuously learning and growing there with DSP, improving the PPC Entourage tool, and building the agency. And I'm always looking for the next problem to fix. That's me. Call it shiny object syndrome. But when I see a problem that absolutely needs fixing, it's going to be like something that I'm going to want to work on. So I never knew that 5 years ago I'd be a software owner and an agency owner at all. 5 years from now, I can't even tell you, Danny. I have no freaking clue. All I know is that I'm putting it out there that I want $1 billion idea to come my way. $1 billion idea to come my way. And I want to see it to life.
Yeah. Money or legacy after your $1 billion idea you just brought up?
What's that?
What do you want, money or legacy?
Oh, money or legacy. I want more freedom, creative freedom. Money is great. Maybe that brings part of the freedom that I seek. But I think creative freedom, time freedom, freedom to be with the people I want to be, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that rolls a little bit into legacy. But for me, my biggest driver is freedom. And I think that's a big part of Days of Nuggets too, because I can't even imagine what those kids are going through with the lack of freedom and the total killing of their freedom. So to me, it's freedom.
Yeah. How would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as someone who cared and gave it his all, every single day, cared for others, gave back and provided value, made the world a little bit of a better place, left it a little bit better than I brought it, than I came here in, and just someone who loved unconditionally.
Good. That's your in depth. How do you feel?
I feel great. I appreciate that.
Let's talk about the charity. I was going to say the last comment you made about making the world a better place. That is something you can see that's written all over your face. You're a fireball of energy and everything else. So I always say to people, ignore words, look at their actions. And I look at your actions, and that's the consistency, your body language, everything suggests is the words that you've just said. So let's quickly talk about what 12 Days of Nuggets is about and the story behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this came about 2017, I believe. I went to an event and I saw Operation Underground Railroad for the first time. Now, this event was packed of tons of value, and I had so many things going through my mind, but this particular speaker left a lasting image in my mind of the horrors that are actually going on, that I didn't know were actually going on. My partner didn't know what was going on. The entire place was totally taken by the speaker. People were donating at the time. I was able to donate about $50 a month back then, but it planted a major seed that if I could one day donate more, whether that be time, energy, or money, then I wanted to do that and make a difference. So essentially what Operation Underground Railroad is, for those of you who don't know it, it is an organization that works behind the scenes as undercover undercover sex traffickers, rather, and they work with local police officers in countries where these kids are taken against their will. Many from the U.S. I actually started seeing it, Danny, on Facebook. I've been seeing people saying, have you seen my child? I've been actually witnessing people who seem like, because everyone shares it when it happens, you can see it on posts. This is a big thing in the US, and it happens. And I'm not a parent. I will hopefully be one day, but I can't even imagine what the hell that feels like for a parent, especially knowing that this is a big problem. So I don't know that everyone is aware how big of a problem it actually is, because between 6 and 8 million children go missing every single year. And I hear different numbers there, and whether it shouldn't even be one person, but it's always in the millions. Whatever I hear, it's always in the millions. I've heard 2, 4, 5, 6 million kids every single year that go missing to these horrible places. So what this organization does is they go in, they work with local law enforcement, and they do sting operations to basically put these sex traffickers behind bars. And they then take the kids and they rehab them in their aftercare program. They give them life, they give them freedom, and then they hopefully they go on to be happy contributors to the world one day. So we have connections with their aftercare program. Her name is Hillary. I've talked with Tim before, like all of these great people in that organization who are making such a profound difference. Yeah. Now, what the hell is Days of Nuggets? Can I answer that, Danny?
Yeah.
So Days of Nuggets came about a year ago with an idea that if I wanted to do something just to bring value to our own community, PPC Entourage. And I figured, why don't I just do like one tip a day for 12 days? We'll call it 12 tips or whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Why don't I not limit this to myself? Let's see if others want to get involved. And then Danny, you were one of the first people that I reached out to. I believe it was you and Liron. Liron lives close by to me. Yeah. And as soon as you guys were on board, I was like, you know what, this is something, let's go for it. Now we had 8 days to bring it to life. What I did was I asked everyone to contribute one golden nugget tip, which essentially is a tip that's going to move the needle in a business. So thinking back on your journey as an entrepreneur in the last whatever year or so, like what tip, what strategy is working now or has worked in the past that helped your business get to where it is today? How can you package that in an actionable 5 to 10 minute long video? And then I wanted to use that viral content to then raise awareness for OUR. And then also have every one of the, we call them keynote speakers, share it with their community to get that virality and to hopefully raise massive awareness for the cause.
Excellent. And so you got a new one coming up, yeah?
Yeah, new one's coming up December 7th through the 19th. It's going to be different. It's going to be some twists this year that I think should be very interesting, and very excited to raise. Our goal is $100,000, which I think is easily clear.
Should be doable. Yeah,
I think we could do it for sure.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
I believe in you, mate. Well, look, let's sign off here. What is the best way to reach, if people want to reach out to you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Facebook. It's Mike Zagare, or you can email me, mike@ppcentourage.com.
Cool. Guys, I'll be back here again on Tuesday. Don't forget, tune in, Inspired with Isa. So Isabella Hamilton back in the chair on Monday. As always, I'll be back here Tuesday. Take care of your family. I know we're on lockdown, but we've been here before. We'll do it again. So take care, and I'll see you on the other side.